All right, what's up, everybody? Terminated Juice, another Juice Opinions. And yeah, I got lots to talk about, just like the title says. So, I'm going to range from, I'm going to quick address the comments from the Juices Loose podcast last on Monday, and then talk about some of the stuff from the Nintendo financial report. I ain't going to get too much into that because I'm going to save a lot of that for the Juices Loose podcast. And then I want to talk about the Wolfenstein 2 Switch physical version. And then a little bit, when I talk about that, I'll talk about this, pick this up. Got it today. Got about an hour, about 45 minutes into it. Talk a little bit about that and anything else that pops into my head. Try not to make this so an hour and 12 minutes like the last week, but yeah, so first off, all right, so on Monday we did the Juices Loose, and I wanted to talk about story, the importance of story in video games, and then we started with Robert's impressions of God of War, since he's the only one that has the game as of right now. And I was actually surprised he wasn't just glowing positive about it, because he loves Sony's exclusives. He loves story-driven games and stuff. So, we were just going in and doing the thing, what we do. We did it for Sea of Thieves, Xbox One X. We trashed the shit out of Sea of Thieves in what, 3-4 weeks ago. No one ever played it. Didn't get any kind of comments, any kind of backlash, but you start talking about a highly praised Sony exclusive, probably the biggest exclusive, for the PS4 all year. Maybe Spider-Man would be close, and then people get a little sensitive. So, the first thing I want to say is, I knew we sounded like salty fanboys. I said it multiple times. T said it during the podcast. We kind of laughed at ourselves about it, and we had fun just kind of shit talking. None of us had played the game other than Robert. I know for a fact Clockbit's plan on getting the game. I know Retro Death was a big fan of the series. I don't know if he's getting the new one. I plan on getting the game. And it's just one of those things. Really, the point of bringing up a lot of that stuff was talking about the reactions, some of the ridiculous things that were being said revolving that game. And a lot of people just focused on, oh, you guys, you just sound like salty. You haven't played it. You sound like salty fanboys. And it's like, I know we sound like salty fanboys. Why don't you contribute to the conversation? If you play the game, tell us, how great it is. I've seen some people say they really enjoy the combat and stuff. So, I don't regret the podcast. I'd do it again, know in the future I'd do it. It wouldn't stop me from wanting to just, it's not like, I'm hearing a weird click. Hold on. There, it went away. It's not like we ever claimed to be like unbiased, like fair and fair and unbiased podcast. Like, we're Nintendo fans. We focus on Nintendo, and I was really not really surprised, but I just can't believe the reaction. And it seems to just be really, God of War has just got this, it's on this hype train has just got everybody just crazy, like whether it's the Nintendo fans who are trashing it without playing it, or it's the people getting all sensitive and defending it and that haven't even played it. And then you got the people that have played it, it's like, it's just a weird thing. And, yeah, I mean, I talked about how the BBC was talking about, this is, gamers need to be prepared for complex stories in video games, and they're talking about mainstream gaming. And this, I seen Grimpachi was trying to say, it's like, well, they meant mainstream gaming. You telling me BioShock wasn't mainstream gaming? Final Fantasy wasn't mainstream gaming. back, at its peak, at its pinnacle, and all the other games that have had stories and stuff, like, I don't have to have played God of War to know that there's been tons of games with complex stories, and it's not just now that we need to be prepared for those kinds of storylines in video games. Like, it's been done. If you haven't played BioShock Infinite, that was 2012, I believe that came out. Late 2012, early 2013. And yeah, it was early 2013. Like, that has a really complex story on a, like, just gripping ending, like, completely blew my mind. Like, what the hell did just happen? Like, this stuff has been happening, and it's like, we're talking about that, and I even said it during the podcast. Like, I had to point out in the chat, hey, we're talking about why there are other games with complex stories. Why is it now that this highly rated PlayStation exclusive somebody says that about, like, you're just gonna sit there and accept that? Like, we can't challenge something a media outlet said that's completely untrue or completely retarded. Like, what's the point of this podcast? And why can't we challenge that? Why can't I challenge the EPN network for saying that, 10 games need to be rebooted in the vein or using the blueprint of God of War, and brings up Metroid? Like, Metroid needs a complete reboot. Like, I mean, maybe we'll see what Metroid Prime 4 does, but there's the 2D games. We just had Samus Returns. Like, we need Metroid to be fixed camera over the shoulder, slower paced story where Samus and her Metroid, have a relationship and they bond. Like, I don't know that we need that. And I'm a Metroid fan, so when someone says something like that, I'm going to call them out on it. Leveled Head asked me, why can't you ignore that? Because I was like, it couldn't be ignored. And he's like, why can't it? Because this is a podcast. We need stuff to talk about. We like to have fun, especially at the expense of quote unquote media, gaming media. And someone says something like that about a series, near and dear to my heart, like, I can call them out on that. Like, why is it because God of War got mentioned that these people just got so upset? And, Sea of Thieves, like I said, we trashed the shit out of that game. And I got to give Microsoft Xbox fanboys, Mohammed, definitely credit. They didn't jump on it and be, oh my God, you guys sound like salty fanboys. You never played the game. Like, we didn't get any of that. Is it because Microsoft's kind of stagnant and Sea of Thieves didn't get 10 out of 10s? Is it because it's not popular or hyped? Like, I don't see why, just because, oh wow, this thing's hyped, everyone's talking about it, and now it's just created this storm of, like, nothing was different about what we said about a game we hadn't played in God of War and the game we hadn't played in Sea of Thieves. It's like, who cares that it's more popular? That shouldn't matter to you. The principle of it is a bunch of dudes were trash talking a game they hadn't played, and some never will. It does, just because it's one game has higher review scores than the other. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why that makes a difference to people. So anyway, we had fun, and we knew we sound like fanboys, and it's like we never shied away from it. I've never once claimed to be unbiased, ever, in my since 2012 I started this channel. Like, never once did I say I was unbiased. I do say, I'm a multi-console owner, and I'll buy a system for games because that's what's important to me. I mean, I just bought this today. I know it's an older game, and I'll talk about it later, but I got no problem buying games on Sony system. I got no problem buying games on PC. I don't have an Xbox right now, but PC is pretty much the same thing. And that one last thing about this, the only thing, I don't mind all that stuff, the back and forth. And I know some of the comments got pretty heated. I stopped reading them, actually. I replied to a couple and changed the name of the podcast to the God of War Salt Cast, because I just think it's kind of humorous how serious people get about that kind of stuff. And but the one thing that really does get to me is and it shows that somebody doesn't watch my content or doesn't pay attention to, videos I make, is when someone tries to paint me as a Nintendo can do no wrong kind of Nintendo fanboy, like nobody else makes good games type of fanboy. Like, I know Leveled Head, him and I had disagreements since we started going, since we knew who each other were and messaging each other. I remember on Twitter talking about the canceled Wave Race project where it had the Wii balance board and the Wii Motion Plus, and just we've always been on opposite ends of this kind of stuff. And the whole like paint me as this in a Nintendo fan or Nintendo bubble fanboy who nothing can do no wrong. Like, if you think I'm like that, what was my video about the Wii U ports, the Juice Opinions and Juices Loose? What was my stance on the Wii U ports coming to the Switch? What's my stance on Kirby Star Allies? Why didn't I buy Kirby Star Allies? Why am I not buying these first party Nintendo games that were ported from the Wii U? Like, why did I shit on, like, again, Kirby? Because game plays itself, it was pretty harsh on it, and some people didn't like it. Splatoon 2, I've been very hard on their lack of listening to fans with the map rotation and the salmon run being locked to certain times, and the fact that you don't get to pick your weapons. It's just random. And it's like, there's just so many times where we've nitpicked, and especially I've nitpicked on my Juice Opinions and stuff. It's like, how can I be a Nintendo can do no wrong guy when I made podcasts praising Shadow of the Colossus remake and shitting on the Bayonetta 2 port, the Tropical Freeze port being $60? Like, I don't know. Like, and Active Sin, why is that? It's a hilarious thing to be mad about. That's the one thing. I'm the one complaining about all these old games coming to the Switch, but now that just, what does that make me more of a fanboy? I don't get that. Like, it's stupid. I don't like that PlayStation had all these ports in the beginning. I don't want the Switch to have all these ports. Like, I want new games. The first game for the Switch I'm buying in 2018 is on June 22nd. That's unacceptable. I could have bought Kirby Star Allies, but I didn't want to, because it's an easy game. They haven't done anything to progress that game. And the new one is even easier because it damn plays itself with all the AI. Like, I want new games. I don't want to have to buy Kirby Star Allies or Kirby Star Allies, Wolfenstein: The New Order. I don't want to have to buy or play, what do you call it? Watch Dogs 2 on my PS4. I'd rather be playing new games on the Switch because it's the console I prefer, like this. Other than some indie games, there's just nothing come out in the first half of the year, and it's disappointing. I was saying the 2018 first half was looking bleak, and it hasn't changed. The Direct didn't change that. Wolfenstein 2 is not coming out till June 29th. I was really hoping for May, and it isn't, and it's just like the whole storage situation. I mean, there's been so many times complained and pointed out faults with Nintendo, and people just don't see that stuff. I don't know why, but Shadow of the Colossus, I finished that game on the PS4, bought it day one, talked about how much how bad that made Nintendo look when that game was a complete remake for $40, and you put Bayonetta 2 at the same resolution as the Wii U version with just a higher average frame rate and charge $60 for it. Like, there's no reason that should be 60. There's no reason Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze should be 60, And I just, Active Sin, I just don't understand. Why is it okay for all these old games coming to the Switch? I don't understand why that's acceptable. And why it's hilarious that somebody thinks that that's stupid. Like, it's just part of this current new generation of gamers and stuff. This stuff's okay. I mean, just look at this game. I bought this game. I didn't even know this was a PS3 game. Until I started playing it, and I'm like, this looks like a PS3 game with higher resolution. Like, And I looked it up, and there's a PS3 version. And I'm like, I didn't even know. I thought Wolfenstein: The New Order was one of the early PS4 generation games. Maybe it was a cross-gen game. I'm not even sure. But as soon as I started playing, I was like, this does not look like a PS4 game. Why are all these games? Because ports don't stop the new games from coming. What new games are coming in the first half of 2018? We've had one, and then Labo. Like, you're saying that, I'm not saying that there would have been a ton of new games if there wasn't for these ports. They don't add anything to the library, in my opinion. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was an example of how to do it right. I'm not saying there isn't a way to do it and have it be worthwhile, but when you add nothing other than a higher average resolution or an easy mode, like Kirby or Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, add a few levels, like Treasure Tracker better fucking be $40. Like, it better be 40. If they try to charge 60 for that, I'm gonna make another video. I'm gonna be complaining about that because that's absolute bullshit. And it's not just the ports; it's the price of the ports. And you say, "Oh, Bayonetta 2 sold 400,000 copies." Well, or did it ship it or sell it? I didn't see the actual report, but it's like that doesn't justify it. Like, that doesn't make it right to me. So, and again, Shadow of the Colossus, I just beat that game easily, a 9 out of 10. I'm a big fan of the original, so some of the quirks that they brought to the new game felt right at home with me. I just posted a video last night of the Colossi number 14, just trying to figure out how to take them down. That's one of the beauties of that game, is each Colossi is its own environmental puzzle with a giant boss fight, or sometimes they're not giant, as if you watch that video. And yeah, it has I don't want to say a cinematic feel, but it has a grand feel to it, even though there's hardly any story. There's hardly any dialogue. There's just a lot of emotion, the feeling of solitude, and like the dread of taking on this giant thing, trying to figure out what to do about how to take it down, and then feeling bad when you do. Like, it's a weird mix of emotions, and it's a great game. The originals on the PS2 was my favorite PlayStation exclusive of all time. This remake basically cemented that for me. At times, it's a little frustrating. At times, some of them, the animations and mechanics, but I mean, it's at least a 9 out of 10. I haven't really sat down and broke it down like what I would give it, but how would I give a Sony exclusive a 9 out of 10 if, like, I was just completely unfair, to anything non-Nintendo? I gave Gravity Rush 2 a 9 out of 10. That was my number 5 game of the year. It's Uncharted 4, I gave it 8 out of 10. That's low for some people, but that was like my number 3 game that year. It's like, I guess you just can't win with some people, and I maybe shouldn't even bother, but it just bugs me a little bit when someone paints me in that light. And it's like, I'm a Nintendo fan. They're the best game developers in the world, no doubt about it. Everybody else is second, third place, but it's like, is there something wrong with preferring Nintendo? I know Grimpachi always talks about, well, I'm unbiased. I have no bias towards any company. Like, great. But there's got to be a genre you prefer. There's got to be something you prefer over something else. Like, I don't strive to be unbiased. It's not a goal of mine. I don't really care, unless Sony or Microsoft started developing games with a different mindset, where we're going to have a great gameplay idea and build a game around that. If they start doing that, then I'll have no problem being just as big of a fan. And it's just like, I'm sorry that my core philosophy in gaming is the same as Nintendo's core philosophy as of right now. Yeah, I'm glad Subliminal Line mentioned Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because I definitely wanted to talk about that and I had forgotten. So anyway, let's get on to that. Another non-Nintendo franchise that I'm a huge fan of is the Tomb Raider reboots. 2013 Tomb Raider I got on PC for free with my graphics card when I built my PC, and I really enjoyed that game. I think I had 30, 40 hours in my first playthrough. I started a second playthrough, didn't realize the autosave was going to erase everything I had done. I was at 99% on my first playthrough and lost all that. So I started a second playthrough and I got pretty far. Rise of the Tomb Raider came out 2016. I got it the day it came out on PC in January. Obviously, it was an Xbox One exclusive. It was supposed to be longer, but the sales were not taking off, so they put it out on PC. It was kind of a rush job. And there was a lot of bugs and stuff, but they fixed it over time, updated my graphics card to an R9 390, and put like, let me look, I think like 60 hours into Rise of the Tomb Raider. I played 2 full playthroughs. Let me open my Steam. Rise of the Tomb Raider just absolutely destroys Uncharted 4 for me. It was my game of the year for 2016. Clocked it. I know he's not a huge fan of this Lara Croft or Lara. I prefer these games to the old games. Like I didn't play like the first game. I played through the majority of it and I enjoyed it for what, considering the graphical limitations compared to the N64, which is what I was used to at the time. Enjoyed the game and stuff, had its technical flaws, but I enjoyed that one. Some of the later ones I just thought just didn't hold up. That's Steam's on my other monitor. Hold on. So I wasn't a huge fan of that series, the dual wielding, the auto aiming, the no skill required gameplay. Let's see, Rise of the Tomb Raider, 50 hours approximately according to Steam. And so I was welcoming the change, and I thought the 2013 reboot felt more like, yeah, it had the Uncharted like moments where it's like, oh shit, stuff's falling, you got to run. All you do is run forward and you jump. And I remember Uncharted 2's final act where the bridge was falling. I died about 20 times on that stupid section. And Tomb Raider kind of the first, their first stab at it kind of mimicked Uncharted a little more than Rise of the Tomb Raider. And they had those moments for sure, but it also had, oh, look at that door with the barbed wire in the wood. I don't have the weapon to get access to that, so I know I'm going to be able to come back later. And it had that Metroid feel that once I upgrade and get this new ability, I'll be able to go back and access that area now. Love that. Zelda does that. The old Zelda formula was that too. And, it didn't have the tomb raiding, it didn't have the puzzle elements and stuff. I get that, but it was an awesome first entry into this new reboot of Tomb Raider. And, the shooting mechanics were good. The bow and arrow was really cool. Had some things like the melee and stuff wasn't the best. And there's a lot of tough like moments you get stuck in an area and it's just like a gunfight and you just had to keep trying until you got, until you killed everybody, kind of like Uncharted 2. And the story was very supernatural. And, I just really enjoyed that game. So when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out and it was just better in every single way. I mean, I don't know. I just love the, crafting, hunting deer and rabbits and, just becoming this assassin with a bow, just to upgrade my gear and get new outfits. But you got to get like deer skin or bear, animal skins and stuff like that kind of element with the more, not really open world, but just the freedom to go through the environments and, like her abilities, her move sets. Like I've said this many times, I would not be mad if Link had this moveset freedom where, you could, obviously Breath of the Wild came along and there's the freedom of climbing, but I'm talking about being able to run, jump significant gaps, like being more athletic. And, like I said, Breath of the Wild took away one thing I was hoping for. They did that where you can climb, where in Rise of the Tomb Raider, Lara for if Clocktick's watching, you didn't have to like you could do the double jump thing, like she'd kick off the wall anywhere. You didn't just have to do it where there was a white mark on the wall or the crate. Like she'd do it no matter what. You wouldn't always be able to grab the ledge, but there was way more freedom in the you know, like jumping to things. It wasn't just, hey, we don't want you to jump on this. You're not gonna be able to jump on this. Like I feel like Uncharted's just so scripted, and there's so many things in the environment you can't interact with. Nathan Drake's jump is pathetic unless it's one of those cutscene moments where you're running and you finally get to be able to like jump this huge gap. But when you're playing him regular, he can jump about 2 inches off the ground. I just loved her moveset. I loved her mobility. The controls on PC were spot on, you know, as good as any third-person game I've ever played, you know, and just absolutely love the game. And anyone who's like, well, the story, you know, it's a pretty good story. I like the Jonah character, or not Jonah. What was his name? The Prophet, I believe he had a name, and just kind of their interaction. It was an interesting, you know, kind of supernatural or religious kind of storyline. Yeah, the whole Trinity villains, you know, those aren't the best, but to me the story is just not. Is it Jonah or yeah, maybe it was Jonah. Who was her friend, like the Hawaiian guy? I for whatever reason I was thinking that was Jonah, and maybe it is. But anyway, just the freedom of that game, the fun of exploration, the you know, getting new abilities. You know, they kind of decreased that a little bit in Rise, like where you're not, hey, I'm going to come back once I get this new ability. They kind of took some of that away, or a lot of that away. There's still a little bit, but great game. Love the game. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider's right there with Smash is my most anticipated game of 2018, and I was bummed that all they had was not even an in-game cinematic trailer. It's a complete BS CG trailer. Jacob, that's right. That was the name. Thanks. Jacob was the guy that she kind of bonded with in Rise of the Tomb Raider. And you know, some decent character interactions. I love the voice acting. Lara as voice actors, something Cunningham, I forget her first name. Great job with the voice acting and the character model. Like, she's not like, oh my God, like, you know, they actually decreased the size of her breasts from the first game to the second game, I believe. And it's like, you know, it's not the old games where you're putting on a sleek black dress, you know, it's cut slit way down the middle and stuff like that. It's just about gameplay. Really, you skip the cutscenes, and which I did do a lot on my second playthrough. There's just a ton of gameplay. There's just a ton of fun things to do. And so Shadow of the Tomb Raider. All right, I'm going to get focused here. BS CG trailer. None of that will be in the game. None of that will be a cinematic in the game. But what I found out later listening to Game Explain is that trailer showed us, or let us know, everything that's going to be in this game now. What, you know, I hate CGI trailers. I fucking hate them. The game comes out in like 5 months. Why couldn't you show us anything? Sounded like there was some glitches and stuff in the build that people got to play, but the CGI trailer is annoying because to me it's just a complete waste of money and resources to create that, because other than the very beginning of Tomb Raider 2013, the opening cinematic is just fake CGI. Everything else in the entire series from that point on is in-engine cutscenes using the in-game assets, the in-game character models. You know, yeah, the close-ups, they look better than when you're playing the game, but they're using the in-engine stuff to make the cutscenes. So why have all this CGI? I don't know. But like I said, listening to Game Explain, that CGI told us a lot about what's going to be happening, or it gave you the feeling of what's going to happen. So there's a mechanic where she can blend in with like vines in the jungle, on the trees, you know, just kind of Metal Gear Solid 3 kind of camo or something, where you can kind of blend in. Stealth kills are more of, I don't think there was really a lot of opportunity for stealth kills. And you know, other than when you drop down on somebody, you could sneak up on them, but it was, you know, you got rewarded for it. You got extra XP for that. But it sounds like it's more of a focus, and now you can hide in the darkness. And like they added in Rise of the Tomb Raider, they added the taller grass you could hide in, for stealth kills and surprise kills. So I like that was in the CGI trailer, and then find out that's actually gameplay. You actually can hide amongst the vines and these trees in the jungle. The jungle setting was another thing that CGI trailer set up. The environments are going to be like everywhere you are, there's going to be dangers in the environments. Now, they didn't talk about like wildlife, like the bear in Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm guessing there'll be more wildlife. I think it would make sense. So like stealth mechanic now, hiding, and there's one shot she was like hiding against a dark tree, and you know they're letting you know, hey, this is, you know, she's in the jungle, it's harsh, but you're gonna be able to be a badass and stealth kill these motherfuckers. You know, like they made her look like a ninja assassin, like Arnold Schwarzenegger era 1980s movies, but it sounds like the gameplay stays pretty true to what was set up in Rise of the Tomb Raider, even though it's a different studio on the lead. Crystal Dynamics is still supervising the project, so it sounds like it's builds upon what was already there, doesn't completely reboot the series, or hope, you know, like I was kind of worried that it was going to be like, just feel like they're trying to replicate or mimic Rise of the Tomb Raider because they didn't make it, instead of like building upon it. But it sounds like there is new stuff. She has the bow and arrow and all her skills right away. I'm not all of them, but you know, a good amount of skills. And then there was a lot of climbing where you know, it was, the one guy was kind of complaining, I didn't know where to go. Well, it's not as linear, and that's my big complaint about Uncharted 4 and even Horizon Zero Dawn. Once you started climbing, you just hold up into the direction you kind of go, and the character just does everything for you. It sounds like you got to be more aware, be ready for anything, for her to slip and have to quickly hit X and kind of figure out where you have to go. And it's like, that's what I want. I want to have to figure stuff out and not have the game just, oh, this is your path. You know, this is you start, hold up, and you're going to climb to where you need to be. Like you had said, he had to make jumps, and he actually died multiple times. And I'm like, man, that's good. I mean, that could get frustrating, but it's also better than the game playing it for you or holding your hand too much. So I like what I heard from Game Explain, and the EPN network guy, he was very positive about it, and I'm looking forward to it. And then the actual story sounds pretty intriguing, where she steals a dagger thinking that she's going to stop the apocalypse, and actually she triggers it. So like a lot of deaths are going to be on her hands. And it sounded like there was a pretty good cut scene where she kind of figured that out and stuff. So I think that's a cool motivation, or, you know, story character arc for her. And I'm looking forward to the game. I don't know why we haven't seen any gameplay. You know, it's like, what are you waiting for? Because, you know, are we going to E3? Is it going to be in Sony or Microsoft's press conference? Maybe. You know, that's kind of how they revealed Rise. So I'm really looking forward to the game. I can't say, you know, that it's going to be as good or any. I haven't seen the game, and I hate to judge it off of other people or off a CGI trailer, but my interest hasn't changed. I'm still looking forward to it. And other than next to Smash, definitely those two are real equal for me as far as my anticipation. Xbox conference, they got the marketing rights. You know, Microsoft did pay for exclusivity, timed exclusive on Rise. It wouldn't hurt for them to continue to have the Xbox name be associated with Tomb Raider, because, you know, PlayStation has Uncharted, and to a lot of people those are similar, even though to me there are similarities, but then they both veer off completely with their play styles and the type of games they are. So yeah, that'd be one thing I'm gonna be really looking forward to during the Xbox press conference then. And of course, it's gonna be running on Xbox One X, you know, 4K, 30 frames per second, where game like that, to me, definitely plays better at 60. And I'll be getting on PC. And I don't know if my R9 390 will be able to run it at 60 solid. I'll probably have to put the settings to high instead of ultra, but really looking forward to that. So, all right, next thing, Nintendo did their financial briefing, and we got a lot of news. First and foremost, a new CEO. Damn it, I was going to write his name down. I do not want to try to say it off memory. You guys know who he is. 46 years old, young guy taking over. Kimishima stepping down in June after E3. And the guy, if you watch Clocktit's video, which I highly recommend, the guy's not messing around. He didn't shy away from like putting his stamp on things already, saying, that they're going to definitely try to balance the traditions of Nintendo, with, I'm guessing, more modern approach. So we'll see what they do and the effects of him probably won't be felt for at least a year plus, but Koizumi got a promotion. Furukawa, is that how you say his name? Doesn't have the best haircut, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of, and he can speak English, so I'm looking forward to hearing him. Hopefully there'll be something, a direct. Apparently there's going to be something in May for detail on the online. Maybe he'll talk to us during that. So, but yeah, I mean, I have no problems with that. Kimishima just seemed like he didn't do much to change what Iwata had kind of set up, other than I do feel like some of the financial or pricing decisions involving the Switch, the accessories, some of these games, I'm wondering if that was Kimishima, the more business savvy type of CEO, versus, the next guy might be a little more, because he's more of a fan of gaming and stuff. So we'll have to see. But I always felt like the Switch Joy-Con price, the Pro controller, the extra docks, I kind of felt like those were higher than Iwata would have had them. So we'll see, what kind of leadership I can't wait to hear him. I would kind of wish that they'd put out a little something, right now, just to have him introduce himself. Maybe he will in a week or two, but it'd be cool to see and kind of get a feel for his personality. And but I have no worries. Kimishima, I don't know, I didn't really dislike him or love him or anything else. Just kind of, he's there. We don't get to see him. The only time we saw him was during the Switch event, January 12th event. That's the only time we ever seen him really in video form. Didn't do a lot of answering questions or any on camera stuff. So we'll see what this new guy's like. But Koizumi getting a promotion, and he's definitely a big part of why the Switch has been successful. He's been the face of it. The director of the 3D Mario games. I mean, come on, the guy's a legend already, and he's got the charisma, and he just looks like a cool guy, and I'm glad he's wasn't promoted to CEO, but I'm also, because I think I'd rather have him just focusing on still making great games. But I wouldn't mind him being in charge and running things. So, but we'll see how it is. We'll judge this the new guy, Furukawa. In a year's time, we'll see if we can start seeing decisions that would feel like, yeah, that was that's definitely his stamp of putting his stamp on things. And we'll see. What else was there? Sales numbers. We'll talk about that in the Juices Loose podcast, because we did predictions for the Switch and for Mario Odyssey, and but we didn't do anything on Mario Kart 8, which I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be the top selling Switch game by, I'm gonna say, September. It's definitely been ahead of Mario Odyssey in the VG charts weekly. That game has picked up steam for whatever reason. As more people buy a Switch, it's that's the go-to, along with Odyssey. Zelda's kind of at 8 million, I think. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I was playing it with a few people. I think Red Knight and the AGL crew. We played some races together, and it's like, because they did everything they did, I have no problems with that game being re-released at full price. All the content they added and the battle mode, which I don't play a lot of the battle mode, but it's still worthwhile, and I have no problems with that game selling well. Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was one of my favorite games on the system. Definitely, top 5, maybe top 3. Great game, and that thing's just continuing to sell. And I wonder if Polygon's got an article about how Mario Kart 8 could end up being the highest selling Mario Kart game. If you had the two versions together, it's going to be one of the top. Probably never take down Mario Kart Wii, but we'll see. So yeah, good sales numbers. Shovel Knight sold 2 million, and it was a good chunk of it on the Switch. I don't remember seeing the Wii U numbers. Stardew Valley, I think, announced sold 1 million on the Switch, if I'm not mistaken. That's huge. Curious about Rocket League. I think that's got to be between 700 to I'd say between 700,000 and 900,000 if it's not at 1 million. I'd be curious about that game. Played that last night again. Just that game's just always fun, and it's like, because it's built upon an awesome gameplay mechanic, and that's why a game can stay fun like that, especially with online and stuff. So all good stuff there. And like I said, Juices Loose podcast, we'll definitely talk about sales numbers a little bit more and go over the predictions and who won, who was the closest and stuff. So the other thing that's really exciting is the E3 plans they talked about. So on, was it 9 a.m. Pacific time on the 12th, we're getting a video presentation. They did not call it a spotlight, so they keep changing the name of that for whatever reason. It's going to heavily feature the recently announced Smash Brothers game, not a port. I mean, if anyone still thinks that Smash Brothers game could be a port of the Wii U version and 3DS games combined, like you're just completely, what is the word I'm looking for? Just, you're not paying attention. Like, you have not looked at facts. You have not looked at this logically. There's nothing that suggests this will be anything other than a new game. But they confirmed that it's 2018, Yoshi's 2018, and Fire Emblem's 2018. And if Active Sin's still here, Pokemon is either 2018 or later. That's kind of I don't know if that's just, we're not going to confirm it right now, but we're going to let you know it's either this year or next year. Maybe the Pokemon company wants to let us know, but if that game doesn't come out in 2018, it'd be interesting to see what else that gets announced at E3 is going to be 2018, because if they don't have Pokemon, then they better have something else. Yeah, it's 2018. I mean, if Pokemon, the company, I wouldn't put it past them to put the game out no matter what, but depends on if this is like built from the ground up Pokemon engine new game, or is this going to be a higher res, up res, higher texture quality 3DS graphic engine Pokemon game, so if it's an all new, brand new Pokemon and it's not ready, I would think they would delay it. But I fully expect something for them to be, trying to get this game out in 2018, no matter what. And maybe it's not even a brand new game. Maybe it's a port, who knows? But still feel like there's got to be something else. Smash is huge, obviously, but Yoshi is, as much as I love 2D platformers and how awesome that game looks, it's not going to be it's going to be a million seller for sure, maybe 2-3 million, but not a huge game. And Fire Emblem, it's going to be interesting because we haven't seen anything of this game at all, and how is it going to branch out? Is it going to feel like a 3DS game in HD, or is it going to feel like a true console game and take advantage of what a console brings? So They were all against Mario Kart 8. I was upset about it till I saw the battle mode. Subliminal Line, just talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You could go back and watch. I mean, it'd take a lot of time, but everything was negative about that until we saw the trailer for the battle mode and like basically adding half a game to the game. And then I changed my tune after that. That's when I decided to buy it. So DLC for Mario Odyssey is possible, but just getting back to it, Fire Emblem could be huge, or fans could be kind of burnt out at this point. So that's going to be interesting to see how the reception is and what it looks like and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to E3. And then they said the Treehouse will start immediately after the presentation, and they'll start out with Smash Brothers. So we're going to get a heavy dose of Smash Brothers. And then after that is the Splatoon Round 1 tournament. And I'm trying to, I should have had it up, and I can't remember if they're doing round 2 the next day or if the first round's the day before. I'm trying to remember. But then the Smash Invitational follows the final Splatoon tournament. So there's going to be a lot of Smash Brothers on the 12th. Like, it's going to be featured heavily in the video presentation, I expect. The Treehouse is going to start with it. And just, I mean, I don't know if Subliminal Line, if you're joking about Smash Brothers being a port, would the Treehouse start with Smash Brothers for Switch if it's just the Wii U version? Like, I just don't think, like, I just don't think they do that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible, but you're not going to start your Treehouse event after featuring like Smash Brothers as the feature game and then start off playing Smash Brothers if it's just the Wii U port. There's just no way in hell I see that happening. And but I'm looking forward to E3. It's less than 2 months away, and Sony's actually got, you know, they're going to have some surprises because they released, by the time E3 comes out, Detroit will be out, have been, you know, out for a month. God of War would have been out. So that would leave Spider-Man, which we've already seen a ton of. So that's going to be very redundant to see Spider-Man for 33. Days Gone, 33. And that's it. I think everything else would be seeing it for the first time, or a new game like Last of Us Part 2 would be seeing it for the first time. If I'm sure they'll show it, no doubt about it. And then there'd have to be new stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they got planned. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a sequel to something, maybe PS3 game, you know, that's getting brought back, or a Crash Bandicoot sequel, you know, in this new graphics engine. And then, you know, what else is there possible? Another port of an older game. I mean, it's, to me, there's definitely more interesting. There's more interest in the PlayStation 1 than there was last year, because I kind of knew they were going to show everything. Death Stranding, like, do we need to see that? Like, if you're going to show that game again, you better show someone playing a goddamn character doing something in the actual game. Like, if you show that freaking game and it's just a bunch of nonsense, CGI, you know, Norman Reedus doing crazy shit that blows your mind, but no game whatsoever, like, that's gonna ruin it for me. Like, that's gonna ruin no matter what they show. If they try to do that bullshit again with Death Stranding, I'm just, God, I so hate when it's, you know, they do that the first time. Okay, next time show the fucking game, and then it's just no. I don't think Kojima really even has a game yet. Somebody said recently they think that that's still not a game. They're still just working on cinematics and setting up the world and haven't even figured out what kind of game it is. But anyway, there's a lot of questions and a lot of new stuff could be shown at Sony's. Microsoft's, that's another complete unknown for me. Like, are we going to see Crackdown again? I mean, State of Decay 2 again? That game looks like absolute trash last year at E3 from a visual standpoint, art direction. You know, what do they got? Sea of Thieves is out. You know, Forza Horizon 4, I mean, going to get people excited other than Mohammed. You know, so it's going to be interesting. We'll talk more about E3 later on. And then, you know, we'll do our usual Microsoft predictions, Sony predictions, Nintendo predictions in the weeks leading up to E3. So it's not that far away. I mean, a month from now, we probably start our predictions videos. So, all right, the last thing is kind of a bummer for me, and that's Wolfenstein 2 Switch. First, the release date, June 29th. It's sooner than I was kind of fearing after we hadn't heard nothing on it in a while, but it's later than I wanted. I kind of really wanted a game to play in May, and just didn't get it. And, you know, other than some indie games, I'm probably going to have to pick up God of War here after I finish this game, which is Wolfenstein The New Order. Also came with Wolfenstein The Old Blood, which I'm guessing was an expansion, or it's on a separate disc. So I don't know if it's a completely new game or what it is. Didn't do any research. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't know this was a PS3 360 game. I know it was a 7th gen game. So it was immediately apparent when I started the game, and I'm like, it's like, whoa, this is not a PS4 game. You can just tell. I mean, I've been playing Doom on the Switch, and even this game running at 1080p, 60 frames per second, it still looked like a last gen game, even compared to Doom on the Switch. And I'm not saying it's terrible or anything. I just didn't know. I don't know. I guess I was just ignorant to when this game came out, and was surprised that it was an actual 7th gen game. So I got it it was $19.99 for this double pack. With my Best Buy discount, it was 15 something shipped to my door. So you can't beat that. And the only negative is it needs 90 gigs for both games, apparently. Even though I put the disc in and I could play it right away, other than the update, had like a 4.9 gig update. I could play it right away. So I don't know if it installed much or not, but so I got about 45 minutes into it, and it became immediately apparent that this was a game made in the prime of Call of Duty. This feels like such a Call of Duty type game. The control scheme's complete Call of Duty control scheme. The mechanics are really solid, though. It feels like playing Call of Duty 2 or 3, you know, like old school Call of Duty games, you know, with the World War II setting kind of feeling, even though there's robotic creature, you know, dogs and giant robotic things walking around. But it just has that tough, you know, army main character, and the shouting, you know, the sergeant calmly shouting, if that makes sense. But he's not panicking, but he's shouting orders, and you're just going through doing stuff. It's not what Wolfenstein 2 looks like. So maybe this is just the opening. They try to make it feel like like that cinematic Call of Duty experience. But like I said, the controls and mechanics are really solid. Just it needs to do something different to really suck me in, because like I said, that, you know, that single player Call of Duty thing, that's so last gen, and it's just like it's not getting me excited at this point. And I'm going to keep playing. I'll try to force myself to finish it, whether I'm loving it or not, but maybe I'll get into it. Actually, where I left off, I was about to climb this wall, and the music kind of changed and got a little more impactful, and I was like, yeah, this could be cool. So but I picked this game up because I planned on buying Wolfenstein 2 day one on Switch. Then we find out the German box, or not German, but European box art has the old white banner. Download content may require SD card. And I was like, you sons of bitches. Then I find out that the listing for the digital version is 13.7 gigs on the eShop. I'm like, you sons of bitches. If this game's under 16 gigs and you didn't put it all on one cart, you can kiss my white ass, because Doom was 13 something gigs for the single player, and they put it all on a cart. Then you had to download all the stuff for the multiplayer. Now, it was kind of a mandatory update. Unless you turn your Switch on with no internet connection, you could play Doom. doesn't have all the benefits of the updates, the gyro aiming and stuff. But I'm just like, you motherfuckers. Now, I wouldn't have a problem if you're like, this game's going to be 26 gigs. We wanted to use higher quality audio, whatever file, for the file size, higher quality video or whatever, because one of my big complaints about Doom is the compressed audio. It's just, there's times where it just clips all over the place and just doesn't take advantage of my sound system. So I wouldn't have had a problem if they just said, you know what, we could have got the game smaller, but it would have came at a sacrifice. This is going to be a 26 gig game. So you buy the physical, you got to download 10 gigs or something. That would have been okay. Probably still would have been kind of like, but I would have been way more okay with that than the game being under 16 and you're still making us in the download part of the game. I made a Juice Opinions about faux physical copies, and I said I would never buy a physical copy of a game if I have to download stuff. Now, it's kind of hard to say that because almost every game you buy, there's going to be some kind of download, whether it's an update like Zelda. There's like 2 gigs of stuff downloaded on top of my physical cart, but that's DLC and patches. But still, someday that 2 gigs disappears and I just have the cart, and I don't have the Champions Ballot. I don't have Master Mode. That stuff's gone. So in a way, almost every physical game is going to have that. But when I know you just cheaped out and you're expecting the consumer to pick up the slack. So let's say they put it on an 8 gig cart. And it's 13.7. You're downloading almost 6 gigs. So you don't need an SD card. I mean, it'll fit on the internal memory if you have room. So, it's at least you don't have to have an SD card, but you wouldn't need anything. They just put it on a 16 gig card. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people saying, well, that's Nintendo's fault because they chose cartridges. Well, how are you going to have the Switch without cartridges? Like, what's the alternative? I mean, there is no alternative. And we don't know the pricing of an 8 gig cart versus a 16 gig cart. Maybe Nintendo's getting greedy because the Switch's success. We don't know that stuff. It's all speculation. All I know is Doom was on a 16 gig cart. Wolfenstein 2's not going to be on a 16 gig cart if that eShop listing for the file size is accurate. Now, there was another game, and I don't remember which one, where the initial digital file size, I think it might have been NBA 2K18, was like 7 gigs, but that was just to get the base version, and then the update added like 13 something gigs, and they just changed it. Wolfenstein 2 on Switch, according to the eShop, is 13.7 gigs to download the game. Now, like I was just saying, that could be preliminary. The actual day one to play the game might be like 18 gigs after 5 gigs of updates that are required. We don't know that. I don't see any reason to have that. You got the game, you're making it right now, unless they got to start printing cartridges like today to get it out for June 29th. I don't know. So I don't have all that information. But if the game's if it's 13.7, day one, there's no reason it shouldn't be on a cartridge. With, pledge and support, I'm thinking Skyrim sold pretty well. We don't have numbers. Definitely sold better than Doom, I would think. And Doom's apparently sold like 300,000 or something. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, is it a difference of $5 per game? Is it $10? I mean, is it significant? I don't know, but you're charging $60 for a game that came out in October. So, it's 8 months old at this point. You're charging $60 already. Now you're making me download on top of that. Sorry. That's why I bought this, because I plan on getting Wolfenstein 2 on the PS4. Now you could think, well, you got to install the game. Well, I know I have to install it. I can't take the system with me, but I can still sell the game, and the whole game's on this disc. Whether you have to, like I said, every game has updates now, so that's just flat across the board. But I can get Wolfenstein 2 on the PS4. Let me see what the current price is. Either way, it's by the time I'm ready to play it, it's going to be under, yeah, it's $23.99. I can buy Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, brand new, Best Buy, for $23.99 right now. And I actually might just order it now. Like, why not? It's $24. So you're going to ask 60 for Switch owners and make them download not quite, just under half the game, and possibly have to buy an SD card if they don't have 6 gigs available. Come on. You just lost the momentum you guys had with Nintendo fans. You lost the not respect, but you were starting to build up something. Skyrim was all on the cart. Doom, that multiplayer, which they made it mandatory, but maybe someday they could just say, you know what, no one's playing the multiplayer anymore. Let's give people the option to delete that or whatever. Maybe they probably wouldn't, but. And then you have Wolfenstein 2, looked good. People are excited, and you're gonna do this. Like, I just hope that European box art was wrong, and this whole 10 minutes or whatever is just completely based upon something not true. Because, I mean, again, you're already charging $60 full for an 8-month-old game that's it's $30 on PS4 without the discount from Best Buy. And you're making people download on top of the physical, so there's not even a real physical version. I'm not going to do it. And I would rather play the game without gyro aiming for $24. I don't really care as much about the 1080p stuff. The 60 frames per second probably will be beneficial. I don't love the PS4 controller. I'd rather play it on the Switch's Pro controller, but I'm sorry. I can't support that practice. And whether it's Nintendo's fault or not, maybe they should eat some costs. I don't know, but I'm not buying the game on Switch. Definitely not paying $60. Sorry, Bethesda, you fucked up. And again, that's wrong. If that was just inaccurate to have that banner, the game comes out and it's all in the cart, then maybe I'll buy it even at the full price, because I love the gyro aiming. The first thing I did when I was playing Wolfenstein, the New Order, on my PS4, I wanted to look down. I tilted my PS4 controller down and nothing happened. So I would really love the gyro aiming, and it'd be great to have that game on the Switch, because like I said, the New Order feels like a Call of Duty game as far as the mechanics. Really solid. Felt really natural. The rumble's amazing on the PS4 controller, and it's got that for those people that love the war type games, it's got that epic nature to it, and I was really looking forward to it. So it's definitely a shame, Clocked. It's a damn shame. It's like the good graces you had. For some people that won't mean any, that this won't tarnish it, but I don't know. But anyway, I think that's going to be it. I'm deciding if I want to play Rocket League or get back into this Wolfenstein. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just out of things to say. Had a good turnout. Thanks everybody for chiming in. Subliminal Lime, I still think you're trolling when you say that Smash is going to be a port, because if you're not trolling, then I can't wait to say I told you so. I don't know, it'll probably be June 12th when I can say it for sure, if there's no leaks. There's just no way that's a port at this point. So anyway, Juices Loose podcast on Monday, we'll have some hands-on impressions of Labo. Clocked It got one of the kits. I'm guessing the what do they call it? The one with all the different things, the piano and stuff, the RC car. So we'll have some hands-on with that. Maybe Robert will play God of War some more. We can get some more God of War salt talk going on. Probably not, though. We'll discuss the Switch sales, reveal the predictions, who's the winner, who wasn't, or who was the closest, I should say. And who knows? Who knows what we'll talk about, because anything's possible. Next couple of days, anything can come out of nowhere. And look forward to getting back on the podcast chatting with those guys and getting some more salty comments down below. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.